Hey guys, so I was out running today, and as is often the case, I came upon some inspiration. I've told you before, if it's going to happen, if I am going to find any kind of inspiration, it's going to be when I'm biking, or it's going to be when I'm running, when I'm pushing myself. So I was out running, I was a couple of miles into it, and again, I'm waiting for the day where I can report back to you that I'm better, that I'm good. But unfortunately, today's not that day. My shoulder hurts as much today as it's hurt in the past 2 weeks. My sternum, my ribs, everything hurts. And a couple miles into it, it's probably about 85 degrees, at least 85% humidity, just uncomfortable. Everything was uncomfortable. And I started asking myself, why? Why are you doing this? Now, don't get me wrong. I have big goals. I plan on running across the state of Florida. I plan on riding my bicycle across the United States. I'm interested in riding my bicycle from Key West all the way up to Maine, things of that nature. I have some big goals. But still, today, at this particular point in time, exactly 3 weeks removed from my injury, when it just absolutely hurts so bad, it occurred to me that any goals, or I should say, any gains that I'm making today are so minute. There's really no measure for how small the gains are, if in fact I'm making any. It's not doing anything to help me accomplish my long-term goal. A run today, in the state I'm in with my sternum, my ribs, my shoulder, the pace I'm running, it's not helping me with my long-term goal of running across the state and things of that nature. So why do it? What is the point? And I spent some time chewing on it, and what I came up with is a pretty sound theory. Now, you've heard me, if you follow me, you've heard me read this before. I probably don't even need to read it. I've had it pretty much committed to memory, but I want to give you this quote again. Whatever there be of progress in life comes not through adaptation, but through daring. Rather, it comes through obeying the blind urge. And I'll be honest with you, the past 4 or 5 runs I've done, slow, painful, I can't identify any other reason for doing it other than obeying the blind urge. It's what I feel. It's what I've always felt. I've always felt the need to ride. I've always felt the need to run. And sometimes I question why I do it. I mean, I'm 48 years old now. I have not had a pain-free day in my life. Completely pain-free since I was 23 years old. I was in La Jolla, California. I was down at the beach, and I jumped off a, 7, 8, maybe 10-foot cliff into what I thought was going to be sand. Unbeknownst to me, there was a drainage ditch buried under about 1 millimeter of sand. That's what I landed on, and I chipped my right heel. And since that time, I have been in some kind of pain, whether it be broken legs, broken ankles, broken ribs, broken shoulders, concussions, broken fingers. Throughout my back, I have a slipped disc. I run with it every single day. There have been days where I literally had to have Trina lift me up out of bed so I could put my running shoes on and go run, or my biking shoes on and go bike. It has been a constant condition for at least 25, 26 years now. I am always, up to and including this precise moment in time as I'm talking to you, I am always in some level of pain. So, again, it begs the question, then why do you do what you do? Because, don't get me wrong, I have aspirations, but I'm also practical. I'm not going to win Boston. I'm 48 years old. I've broken bones. I've strained ligaments. I've torn ligaments and tendons. I've had more concussions than I can count. There is no amount of willing it that's going to get me to the finish line of Boston before everybody else. I'm never going to win the tour. It's never going to happen. So, again, when you're out there on these little runs, yes, I do have greater ambitions, but right now, what I'm doing right now isn't getting me any closer to running across the state. It's not getting me any closer to riding my bike across the country. So what is it that gets you out the door on a day-to-day basis when your long-term goal seems so far away? I submit that it's following the blind urge. Listen, I know I'm not alone in this. What is the blind urge? How do you identify the blind urge? For me, it's always been some sort of athletic endeavor. I've always been an athlete. I've rarely been an award-winning athlete, but however, I have won a couple. But I'm not an award-winning athlete, but I've always identified myself as an athlete. It's what I feel when I wake up. It's what I feel before I go to bed. It's the first thought that comes into my head in the morning. It's the last thing I think about at night. My run the next day. When I wake up, my run, my bike ride, putting on my rucksack, my hike, my run, whatever it is. I can't really tell you why it's there. That's why this quote means so much. I simply get out of bed every day and I obey the blind urge. What is that for you? Well, I don't know. But I have a feeling that you do. And my guess is, if you're somewhere around my age, there's a good chance that you've dismissed it. You've said something like, what's the point? Why do it? At my age, what's going to come of it? Maybe you are the type of person who feels artistic. Maybe you've always felt like you wanted to play the guitar. You always wanted to play the piano. Maybe you feel like an athlete, but you look around your reality and you don't see anything to suggest you're an athlete. You don't see anything to suggest you're a guitar player or a pianist or a photographer or an artist or whatever, a chef. Whatever it is you've always felt like you could be, should be, would be if you had the chance. You look around your environment and you don't see it. Well, what I'm telling you is there have been some of the greatest things on earth we know to this day is because somebody wanted something. They looked around, they didn't see it, so they created it. They stepped out of the vision and stepped into the reality. A lot of the things we have today, somebody looked at that loaf of bread and said, boy, wouldn't it be a good idea if somebody sold it already sliced? They wanted something. It wasn't available, so they created it. And that is following the blind urge, that feeling. And that's where I'm at. That's why I do what I do. That's why I talk to you about the things I do, talk to you about the things that you can do. That is what I submit. If you cannot find a logical reason, and again, here I am talking about that brain that's going to give you all the logical reasons not to do it. It's too late to be an artist. It's too late to be a cook. It's too late to be a photographer. It's too late to play an instrument. It's too late to be an athlete. It's not if you follow the blind urge. And if you're asking yourself, what's going to come of it? I would submit maybe nothing more than happiness. Isn't that enough? Quench that thirst. If you feel like you're an artist, you're an artist. Go get some lessons. Create the environment. Go find a coach. Go find a mentor. Go find a tutor. Jesus Christ, there's probably 1 million YouTube videos right now for free that will get you started doing what you want to do. Maybe you're the guy who reads a book written by an award-winning author, and you get to a certain part and you say, yeah, you know what, I would have went a different way with that. I would have beefed that character up a little bit. I would have put a little bit more of a backstory. You're a writer, okay? Go find a coach. Go find a mentor. Go find a YouTube video. Find somebody in your life. Surround yourself with somebody that will help you follow that blind urge. That's what I do. That's been the past 3 weeks for me. Nothing I've done is helping me accomplish my long-term goals. Nothing. But I wake up every morning and feel the blind urge to do it, to progress, even if it's barely measurable. I feel the need to progress. I follow the blind urge. Progress comes not through adaptation, but through daring, through following the blind urge. And that's what I wanted to talk to you about. What is your blind urge? What is it you feel? That thing that completes you. And maybe you're sitting on $1 million right now. Maybe you think you're done, but I know you've got something that's nagging at you. That. Investigate that. What is that thing? Do you get, I'll tell you to this day, when I watch videos online and I see these ultra distance runners and bikers staggering almost incoherently, dragging themselves with nothing but will across finish lines of 100, 200, 300-mile races, barely able to hang their head up as someone drapes a medal over it. I get choked up when I watch it. I've shed a tear more than once just watching it. The blind urge. I follow it. Okay? And that's it. That's the rant. That's the talk. Excuse me. That's what I wanted to leave you with. Follow the blind urge. What is the thing? Go after that.